Hello, I'm Solomon Abigail, the Junior Data Analyst. The popular saying tells us that we learn by doing, and this has been my case. I've been owning my visualization skill, and it's been awesome for the while. My previous post was a Power BI dashboard, and this particular visualization, it was done on Tableau, and Tableau is a powerful business analytical tool. So over here, I have a dual axis map, which I'd like us to see. We have about, as you can see on the screen here, we have 4 different colors. We have the southern part, which is indicated by orange. We have the eastern coast indicated by the blue. We have the western coast indicated by this red, and then we have the center indicated by this lighter blue. So I would like us to, if you can spot well, there are some bubbles on this map. The bubbles aren't just there for maybe by mistake. They're actually here to show us some indications. Like we can see, this is a deep, this color, this bubble here is deeper than the bubble we have here, and then we have another deeper bubble here. So what these bubbles actually tells us is the disparity of sales. It shows us how sales is scattered around the regions of this country, and the country of focus is actually the US. So as we can see here, the lighter the color, the lower the sales that was made, and the darker the color, the higher the sales that was made. So let's see New York City, which is in the East Coast, made $2,506 of profit. And one other country, let's just see this other one, Delaware, which is also in the Eastern Coast, made $20K of profit and some of sales. And we can see that Delaware had this bubble I'm touching is actually lighter than that of New York. So see another one here. United States, Louisville, Colorado, made 5K. Just a moment. Yeah, made $5K of sales. And if we move on to the Western Coast, we see California made $1,706K of sales. Another blue bubble we have here is Washington, that made $1K of sales. Okay, $120 of sales. A city in Seattle made $120K of sales. We can see the bubble was larger compared to that of Olympia in Washington. So I'd like to show us regional sales across it. This is actually a waterfall chart, and we have trends shown on this line chart here. And the colors we have here, the differences in colors we have here, showing us the regions, the sales per regions, as the Eastern Coast, the South, the West, and the Central. And this we have over here is showing us the differences in sales. The darker the orange, the higher the loss they had. And as it blurs out, it shows how they've been able to revive and revamp sales back. And as it's go down to deeper blue, it shows how profit has been made. I observed a trend in this particular in the data visualization, and from analysis, I found out that towards the end of the year into another year, there's always a decline. So let me show us from here. This is October, and we see that in October we had, okay, I don't have to be right. In October we had a decline in sales, and it moved on in November to $30K, and then from there we had a decline in January by $22K, and then in January it had reduced to $2K. That was indicated here by this difference. So from October, we had a reduction in sales, a loss in profit. In November, it increased to $47,000. In December, we had another loss of $9K. And in January, we had $51K of loss. We're able to manage through it in February, and in March, we revived back to $27K in profit. And this trend didn't just end here. In 2020, again, we observed the same trend. November, we had $45K in profit. In December, we just lost by $1K, and in January, we have $56K in loss. And the following month, which was February, we were able to bounce back to $4,000 in profit. And then in March, we were able to have 29K. Just observe, this is March, 27K. In March again, $29K. So let's see towards the end of 2021. October, we had a loss of $14,000. November, we had an increase of $20K. In December, we had $18K of sales. And in January, so this December, we had $18K of sales. And in January, we had another loss of $53K. February, there was still a loss. In March, again, we had revived. So this trend is trying to tell us that towards from the third month towards the end of the year, there will be an hike in sales. Then by the end of the year, we'll see a loss. A pattern that brings us to the first month of the year. There was always a loss in the first month of the year, and it takes until the third month before there is a revamp in sales. So we've been able to see that. That's what this our is shown here by these lines. We can see a reduction in February, and then in March there is an hike. September an hike. Over here, another hike in March. So most of the hike we do have after a dirt took it in January. You see that in March again, it comes back. It goes through like that. By October, a reduction. November, an hike. December, a reduction. January, a reduction. February, a reduction. And then in March again, there is always an hike. So we can see that in the month of between October and March, there is always the level of loss and profit is always very high, but by March there is always a hope that we'll bounce back more in sales. So let me show us per state. Okay, so we have a number of states here, which has been arranged in a descending order. So the highest, the state with the highest sales, which is actually California in the West Coast, had the highest sales, and followed by New York, which had $3,011,000. So the least sales we had as per the regions and then the states around it, of course, it was North Dakota, and North Dakota had $1,000 in sales. Mississippi, it moved, it managed. So most of the countries, we had lesser sales like that till we added through California, which had the highest. And if you notice, the blue color is the eastern coast. If we check from here down to where we have here, we find out that the central coast, though they had more sales, if we add this up, they might have higher sales. They actually have more states around them, but none of them could come up to the level of California. And California was beating it well for the western coast. They had more sales. For the eastern coast, New York was making more sales. And then for the southern coast, Texas was making more sales, followed by Florida, followed by Indiana. So before we began to see the highest sales in the central coast, it was Illinois that had the highest sales in the central coast, which was $80,000, whereas the western coast had begun to have more sales in the eastern coast, the southern coast. We had about 3 more countries before Illinois, which had $80K in sales. But let me bring us to the dashboard to show us what I've explained so far. So let's see for California. Like I initially stated, California is on the western part, that's the west coast, and these are the sales we experienced there. So to show us and to give us a light of what I've explained about this pattern I observed between the end of the month, the end of the year towards the third month of the new year, we can see that California experienced it as well, even with the fact that they had the highest sales. This was from January, it was higher, it reduced to, in January they had $2,000 in profit, and then in February they had no profit at all, which is indicated here. okay, a loss in February, and then in January they add 7K. In March, rather, they add 7K. That was it increased. We can see by this that by the line that it increased. So let me bring us to 2019. Okay, like I had initially explained. This is November. We add this hike, and then it moved on in December, and then by January we add a loss. February, a very, like the difference, okay, between January and February we add $5,000 of loss, which is indicated here. In February, $5,000 of loss, and then we add our increase again in March. By 2020 we observed December we add a hike in sales, and then by January we add a reduction of $13,000 in sales. February we're able to manage through to get 3,000 profits, and by March we add $16,000 of an hike. So so far what I have been able to generate from this is that sales actually differs in most of these regions, but with the pattern we found was that by the end of the year, towards the new month, towards the new year, we see that sales is always low, but by the third month, there's always an increment in sales. There is always hope that sales will come by the third month. So all of the superstores that are across the regions, the states of these particular regions, all of them experienced it, because that was what we were able to generate. And meaning if we'll be making any solution here, we have to look for factors that's affecting the sales by the end of the year that makes it spill down to the third month that we now have a profit. Thank you so much for joining me on this.